Welcome back, everyone. So it's the Amarriner Cup season, Cup round, the fourth one, and we got ourselves this little map on Dark Woods. I don't want to spend too much time going through map this time, but I will put up noticeable things. It's 4 comm towers to help things kind of move forward a little bit faster. These two are going to be getting this one and this one. They're going to be a little bit pretty much soon. This one over here and this one over here, as you can see, they're surrounded by rivers and mountains. They're going to be a pain to get to, and if they are gotten at all, it's going to be mid to late game. One of the reasons because it's going to take like somewhere around 4 turns to even get over there, let alone capture. Maybe 5 to get over there and capture. But if you're sending it, especially early on, if you're sending an infantry over here, that's X amount of turns that they're not doing anything else, getting to the front line, capturing, etc. You really have to value this property, or at least have everything else pretty close to captured before you even want to go over and get that. Next thing, you can kind of see a lot of, with mixed base, not all of them, but a lot of them have like one corner with 2 bases for you and your opponent, and the other ones have single ones. And so what that kind of makes it somewhat ideal for is that if you really wanted, you can push just all one side. Like you could just go and just push all that way. But can you guys see that yellow? I don't know, I thought it would be more vibrant than the purple I usually use, but it gives you ability to push on both sides. Whereas in this one, you only get 1 base, so you really have to choose. Oh, that's a horrible arrow. Guys, what the hell? You really have to choose where you push those units. And yes, the 2 lower bases do have airports to somewhat compensate. But keep in mind that air units are generally more expensive, so you're not going to be able to pump them out on a turn every single turn. Whereas with the base, most players almost never base skip. So there's almost always going to be 1 or 2 units way up here that infantry being produced up there. They're going to help. Second of all, in this bigger area, you can kind of see there's a lot of mountains, a lot of terrain, right? There is no real way you're going to be able to push well into that. So it might be a waste of time. Whereas if you're, let's say you're red, it might make sense to try to go fight into these and try to, if you're going to capture, go for a base rush. This is where it is. Right. Yeah, without getting let's just kind of move on. We're going to look at, so there's the infantry routes on things, and then there's the reinforcement routes. And the reinforcement routes are going to be helpful to knowing what you are probably going to be able to maintain in the long term. So if you're going tank on tank, which you might be in this game, you're going to be looking at something like that for you and your. What that kind of shows is that if you once you're kind of like in the midst of capture game, what is realistic that you're going to be able to hold on to? If you see over here, and to some degree a little bit over here, that this one's probably going to be contested. There's going to be some sort of front over here combating these cities. There's going to be someone over here combating these cities, and so on and so forth, right? And even over here, and even over here. Here especially, I would say it's not going to show up like this, and that's because the time it takes for the infantry to get here for red is going to surpass blue. So think of it this way. You see this blue base here? There's only 1 base, and it has to produce units to capture all these units. So we'll say he gets these bottom 2, but basically all these units. While these guys up here, these bases, are producing 2 infantry every turn until they can afford some type of vehicle. They're able to send people over here earlier, and they're able to get to this area first. So if they get to this area first, and let's say they wall off with the bridge, which is very feasible, they can resist a push in. So to help kind of fight this, what you would need to do is you need to produce aircraft out of here. But then again, aircraft is going to be expensive. Don't get me wrong, it's really good. Aircraft can get over all these rivers, and as well as get into these mountains, but they're expensive. Put up air support real quick. This is going to be off the bottom left air base. What you kind of see is, well, you kind of know it's pretty much going to be, you either support it up here, attack this base, or attack this base. What might be a very likely thing is over here is that this is kind of choky, so you may end up sending your air support over here to try to deal and dance around their units. Up here it's very open, probably not as great for a battlecopter. You're probably going to try to fight over here. Keep in mind that they're probably at some point going to produce an anti-air, and that's going to tell you which one's probably more vulnerable at that time. Right, and let's look at the other one. This one. So this one again is kind of, you can use it to send it down here, you can send it up here. Yeah, I mean they're pretty good on this map. It's just the issue is the cost, right? Because you can imagine, yes, you're getting, like, let's say the similar amount of income as a normal base, but you have 4 bases plus airports to be financing. It's going to be hard, especially if you're taking engagements every turn. You're going to want to keep up your numbers. You're not going to want to base skip. To maintain your helicopter is going to be rather difficult, especially if they have well positioned anti-air. All right, I think I've yammered on enough. Let's continue on. The CO choice, yes. So if you looked at basically at the tournament bracket, what you will end up seeing is that everyone chose max, right? Most people chose max, and I chose max too. And the thought process went down like this, right? It's tier 2, which is Max, Olaf, Eagle. There's also Sammy in there if you were. I think Sammy was banned on this map, actually. I think that's why I didn't choose Sammy. Anyways, Kindle I don't think was tier 2 yet. But let's start with Eagle, right? Does this look like an Eagle map? I'm gonna go ahead and say no. Although the air support's very strong on this map, my issue is that Eagle really likes just the sheer numbers of vehicles, because he wants his vehicles to get more vehicles, which helps him with his power. He has more power the more vehicles he has, right? More of an effect. And the issue with mixed base is that there's more bases, right, in general, compared to other formats. More bases equals more infantry. And so more infantry means most of the interactions are not happening with vehicles. Again, because you have to keep producing and keep your number count up in general, you're producing a lot of infantry, which means every so often you're not able to produce as many vehicles as you would like. So he doesn't necessarily scale super well on maps like this. Other option is Olaf, and Olaf is not a bad pick for this map. But it comes down to 2 things, and so I'm going to go with the lesser one first, which is his snow ability. It would actually be pretty helpful. However, I think on this map, you really want a day-to-day power And you want the day-to-day power because it's going to be a bunch of small engagements happening around. So you're going to get a front line. You saw what I put up, right? You're going to see one there, and it's a balancing act between all these fronts, right? And so it's going to be fewer units on each front. It's going to be easy. It's going to be much tighter positioning. Otherwise, you could end up losing. Second reason, Olaf's main ability is best when it's the superpower. Max, on the other hand, he can actually use his normal power, and it'd be great for this map and help you push into certain areas that you need to. So maybe it's a lot mixed. No, I'm not going to say it's all mixed. I'm just saying, at least on this map, I see a lot, because there's going to be so many infantry battles and small units being destroyed. It's going to take forever to get that supercharged. So, I mean, if you hold on to that point, great. But if it never gets to that point, one well-placed power could just knock you out. So notice that my opponent chose Adder, and this is actually, to me, it's surprising, not for him particularly, but some more notable players also chose Adder, and I'm assuming it's just because the lower movement cost, and they believe that the extra movement will really help them with the front lines. Maybe I want a day-to-day power, honestly. I think that is what's going to be really good on this map. Okay, so enough chat. You guys want to see a match? Awesome. Let's see my match. Of course, I'm going to go and make sure I capture those bases, right? And of course, infantry. And are you ready for this awesome move? Boom. That means I won. I won via timeout. That's technically me winning. Yeah, I know, it's actually not that impressive. Anyways, that was kind of a, I don't know, I actually wanted to play this map because but whatever. It's not the way you want to move on, but whatever. So what I'm gonna do is we're gonna move on. We're gonna watch another player, maybe two. We'll see. Okay. So here is a match that it was a slight recommendation. Basically, somehow me and some other the guys were talking about mechs or something, and this popped up, and I thought this was a very interesting thing because it's something I had not even thought of. So Nightmare of Hlenko, if you don't know, they're a very high-end player. And you notice that they chose Lash. And I'm like, what? You went with a tier down? And to be honest, I've always considered Lash bottom of that tier. Except for, and it's always been map dependent, to be honest. But the thing I think I never thought of in this instance, because, you know, always go for the maximum tier is your thought process, because, you know, that's what everyone else is doing. But here, little bit here, and basically what ends up going is that Lash's real power is the one, the counterattack, and two, her super being able to just make her unable to be hit off, right? So her power is basically brain star boosts and all that stuff, and being able to, and there's a bunch of mountains and stuff. And if you look on this whole map, there is not a single road. Yeah, there's a couple bridges, like here there's a bridge, there's some bridges, but for the most part you're going to be avoiding those anyway. And if with a comm tower, I think it's a comm tower, you can actually use infantry to two-shot off another infantry off of a city, which I think that's still a gamble. If you get both comm towers, it's a sure thing. It was actually pretty impressive, because most times it's like 40 something damage for a full HP infantry shooting at another infantry on a city. That's actually something to consider. And we're gonna get a little bit further into this with if I remember. Sometimes I'm forgetful. We're gonna start this match, because there's nothing really noticeable here. So they're moving down right away. So they had the option to go for this city or this city, which Robofish did, and it's for the money. Basically, Nightmare is going for this contested city. If you remember when I put up that little those icons, it was overlapping on this city. So this is contested. If they can get this, they can hold on to it a bit better, especially because they're infantry and there's a lot of terrain around the city. They might actually stand a good chance of getting it. Again, getting the contested cities, not the ones right by it. So already a difference of play, clearly. And the first battlecopter. Thought is that if you are the first one to make a battlecopter, you can kind of set the tempo with battlecopters. What it also does is it's going to force Robofish to actually make a counter on it. So because he's having to buy this anti-air to deal with this, right? He's not going to be able to buy what he really wants is tanks, because tanks are just more efficient at damage, right? So this anti-air really only wants to hit battlecopters. If you're shooting at infantry with it, you're going to be getting chip damage, and it's the trade-off you're getting is not going to be equivalent. Battlecopters are great on this map. It's just you rather be building tanks because it's more affordable. And once people start just shelling out all these anti-air, they're not going to be as good as they were. So he's kind of skipping some of these a little bit, maybe. But he's trying to really make sure that Robofish grabs some of this to try to maintain a foothold. It's, especially if he starts producing vehicles out of here, it's going to start to get difficult. Why? Because this 2-base side has the advantage of being able to easily just send out units off of both sides. So they can continuously be feeding this front. This Robofish has to use this one base to fight this front, to defend against this front and this front. So it's a much tougher job, and you kind of have to maybe try to draw away this front by needing it over here to fight or something. You know, all the different types of strategies one might come up with. One thought, though, I have about anti-air in this map. So you see how there's a lot of terrain, there's a lot of forest and whatnot, and a lot of mountains. So it would actually be quite easy for battlecopters to just move around this map and just avoid the anti-air. The one thing that you may want to consider on this map is using battlecopters to fight battlecopters. It's an idea. And it might be doable just because you can actually have more maneuverability and they have a dual purpose. Whereas anti-air really only want to fight battlecopters. You want a battlecopter it can fight battlecopters or it can fight tanks. It can fight either of those two units. It's not as efficient at taking down battlecopters as anti-air, but then you have something that can actually deal with tanks instead of just running away from tanks. So yeah, you can see he's kind of hiding all of his units in these mountains. He's kind of winning on this front. He's kind of letting this go. He's just letting this happen. But he knows that the opponent isn't going to be able to push in. And once he starts getting enough money to actually produce like vehicles and such, this might turn. Same down here. Yeah, they have some vehicles, but right now he's having to force them over here. Same thing, he's having to force this tank over here because Nightmare pushed a tank over here, and he doesn't have an answer for that tank. And so if the tank gets the first hit on this guy, then he's really screwed. Then he has one hitter against a hitter and a copter. It would not be advantageous. You can see down here, and maybe Nightmare's going to do it too now that he sees it, is that Robofish is going for this tower, and he can get it next turn. Well, that's actually not as much as fast as I thought, as long of a travel as I thought. So if you notice, because up here he actually produces a mech, and this is a clear threat to this. And he's going to put this mech on a mountain, of course. You don't want to attack a mech on a mountain, because with a tank, I think it's going to do like 40% damage back of return counter damage, at least with Lash. But the nice thing is, this city is covered by mountains. This city's covered by mountains. Effectively, if you just fill this mountain range with mechs, you can cover all these cities. Which, that's 4 cities. Okay, he already has this one. But these other one, he can get, and actually that's a decent income lead. He already has an income lead, but he has even more now. That's the part I hadn't considered, is the importance of mechs on this map, and Lash's mechs being something you don't even want to tag into. Kind of like a pseudo Sammy. I like this one because in order to stop this cap, he would have to disrupt this guy, and this guy already has 6 HP. It's not going to really do much damage to him. He'd have to get this guy below 7, and then no, he already took a turn, so you'd have to get him below 5. Yeah, it's just not going to happen. It just finished killing this guy off. Now he has 2 anti-air for 1 guy, and although I understand it, the issue is that's on a map like this that's really inefficient, because you have these 2 $8,000 units that just, unless they need to get that hit, otherwise they're not going to be useful for anything else. Where tanks, they can threaten infantry if you really wanted, even battle copters. Could threaten infantry if you really wanted. It's not ideal, but you could. So I think it would have been a better idea if he doesn't have the money, but it would be better if he could afford battle copters to send them out. He still has these guys this is still like it's bait, and I don't even consider it good bait, right? Because this guy is going to get hit, and then you don't have a counter for this. He's just going to keep pushing in. Still harassing all these units. Over here, finishes with the copter. Now he has no answer for the copter. So, and he can't even get a solid hit off of this guy. So he has 2 units over here that's just going to win against these 2. And the point here is not necessarily just to do just pure damage or even hit the base. It's just to make it so he can't get his units out. If he can't get his units out, he can't take engagements, he can't recoup the cost of them. And another battlecopter. Why? Because you can. And up here he's producing even more mechs. And really, as long as the mechs stay in this mountain range, you're not going to want to hit that. And now he's starting to get that comm tower. Blowfish is going to get it. It's just he's going to have to return. One of my thoughts now about Max is that Max doesn't have necessarily great infantry. His infantry don't get a buff, whereas vehicles do. But there's also minimal vehicles now that I thought about it. And you don't care about the anti-air vehicles because for the most part, most of them are just going to one-shot anti-air or make it so that one shot to a battlecopter is just going to take it out of commission. Like leave it at 1 or 2. You don't really need it. It's mostly the tanks you need. But he could also use, yeah. So he has a decent number of tanks. It's just he's wasted some of his money on anti-air. That's my opinion. I'd rather him have bought some battlecopters or something. Because that's the only thing that can get in here now are battlecopters. And he's basically just used these mechs to just threaten this tank away over here. Then he's bringing another tank back over here to just reinforce this. He's not going to be able to do anything here. And more battlecopters, because over here he doesn't have an answer to it. And realistically, what he could do over here is he could do battlecopter in the mountain. Yeah, battlecopter in the mountain. Coming with this tank, finish off this tank, bring this tank in, hit the anti-air, and then finish the anti-air off with a battlecopter. I think that would work. So that would put him way ahead. And look, he's already, value-wise, he's pretty far ahead. And he resigns. Yeah. After seeing the over here, he's going to win over here, and that's where all his expensive units are. And then he's not going to have any money to actually make units that are going to be able to push through this. All right, so that was Nightmare and his. And there's going to be, I'm going to try for one more. All right, and this is the last one I'm going to try to get through today. The guy Super Barodin and Mortimer. This is more like my own research I'm doing, and you know, you can join me for the ride. So it's kind of similar so far. Again, with a lot of like opening capture games, it doesn't really change much. Most people just copy, me included, I just copy what other people use. Sometimes it's good or bad, depending, because you got to know what their intent is if you're going to do it. Otherwise, if you don't know the intent, it's not going to have the same effect. Okay, new plan. I'm going to change country so it's a little bit easier to see. There we go, that's slightly easier to see, right? Yeah, because they were both blue. Sometimes that's not easy to follow. Well, it's more work. And we see the Mortimer builds an anti-air. And I don't know, I don't particularly like it because one, the name of the game is build anti-air because you need them. The two main units you want are tanks and copters. You could use it to harass infantry. Issue with that is just it's inefficient, really. So I think a battlecopter would have been better. Would have had better movement and been able to harass some people. If you did over here, you could harass these people. Probably don't want to. You could harass them enough to get your units out, or you can either use it to defend this. Oh well. And he responds, super response with recon. I don't love recon on this map just because it's like, look, you get 4 movement on this 1, 2, 3, 4. You really are looking for something with a lot of roads or bridges when you look for a recon, because it's going to be a couple turns till it's able to harass something. And by that time, oh, maybe if you were to plan this out well with after the issue is just this whole area has a lot of plains and forests and not much. It's gonna be harder to move these than it is worth. And here he is harassing infantry with it. And it's not great because you see there's a tank right here, right? He is able to go in and hit that. I understand it's on a city, but still. So there's this move, and you're not getting a great exchange right here. You're right here. What did I say? He just used the tank to just go on and hit it. There is a response tank, so maybe build another tank to keep. And maybe you're exchanging, but you got the initial hit. You may come out on head, possibly. Especially if you get if Mortimer gets his. Well, if Mortimer gets his power first, that could change things. I mean, he tries to trap him and then just really you have to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, he does have that. That's actually good. That's a good move right there. He's doing a good job making sure to eliminate the infantry. One thing he could have done, and I'm going to try to rewind it. What I think he should have done, instead of just hit this guy back, is lower the infantry down to, let's say, here, or pull back. Have this unit move forward and finish this guy off. Because then he'd actually be finished off, and you'd have a healthy unit to prepare to capture this. Instead, this guy's just slowly going to be whittled away. And Mortimer makes a battlecopter. I think this is the first one of the game. And I think he should use it to disrupt this, because this is when this finally does start attacking, it's going to hurt his units somewhat. Because yes, they're on cities, but at the same time, if Super can take advantage of like woody areas, then that could actually deal some decent damage. And that would actually make it a cost-effective trade. Not trade, because again, it's not written off, but it'd be a shame if this guy started getting hit and didn't do anything. You see that? Like, that's some good damage, but again, was it worth stacking this guy? Because that's really the best thing to do, is use his tank to hit this. Or at least my opinion. So this one's really good. Using that city to do damage here. That's the issue with just leaving your unit right here. But he could have done this, left it back here. You don't want to leave it right next to a city when there's other things that can go on that and hit you. The tank, I don't see. I mean, in terms of like, I don't know what he's doing. That's not necessarily bad, because hey, Mortimer's not going to be able to plan around that properly. So now there's an actual battlecopter here and he has to make a plan. It would have been nice if he was able to use that, but this unit right here just didn't get its money out of it. This unit, it kind of did, because what ended up happening was was able to take out this unit, which is an extra 1,000 more than it, and it did some damage to this unit. So you could use another unit over here, but this definitely got its money. And he doesn't go for this, which it would have been a free hit because he moved the tank over here. He decides to go harass infantry with it. Which, if you're going to harass infantry with a battlecopter, to get your money back on that, you have to completely wipe out 9 infantry. And it doesn't take, it's not a one-hit KO. It is at least 2. So it's wildly inefficient. And he makes another one right here. I'm glad you're healing this up. It's just... So this guy right here definitely needs to go down here and needs to go south and attack into this. Because he doesn't have enough money for an anti-air down here. So ideally you want to do it, use this on tanks, but if there's too many anti-air in a map like this, then helicopters are not what you want to be pushing. You really want to be pushing tanks at that point. Because if your opponent is not having what you would consider a good balance of tanks, helicopters, anti-air, then you kind of want to push whatever is, you want to kind of, we'll say spam in the area they're deficient. Again, he just sacked that guy up here. Just to delay this, I don't know if it was really worth it in the end, because it's still going to take 2 turns, but he still has infantry. You lost a unit just to delay a cap. You really want that unit count. It's not just about value. It's not just about delaying. And he makes a mech. I'm assuming it's for this guy, but at the same time, I wouldn't try to push it there to begin with. I'd probably this next target's probably going to be this. But you know, mechs are, if he can get it going, it's a great trade. It's just I'm not confident in this area, but we'll see. Yeah, and he's disrupting this. Yeah, you don't want him to get too much money. And pretty much because he built the anti-air, you know which front to go down to attack. If you made another unit over here, I would say a tank for sure, because then he's gonna, no matter what you build, he's probably gonna, if it's not something that can threaten a tank, he's gonna pull this down here to go. Or maybe this, depending on what you do with this tank, you may have to push it up. Make him have to really like react to you. He's probably gonna have to pull it up there, especially because he doesn't have many units to block off the bridges. The tank, I think, regardless, that was the right call. Depending on what Mortimer does, if he makes a tank down here, he might actually should probably bring this tank down. Maybe. I'm still unsure whether or not what to do about whether it's better to move this guy up and attack this front, or have the tank move down and move this front. At least here it'll be attacking into what it wants to hit. It wants to break up his bigger units like his tank and his anti-air. Down here just be doing infantry, which is not as great, but it's better than just getting your unit blown out. So this one right here, I don't want to look at it. I wish they had the damage calculator in this. Basically, I want to look at this and know, because most times he's on, like, you're able to just at least get a good solid hit on a mech with a recon. And I've actually had good success by spamming recons as a response to mechs. And that extra star of power might actually be beneficial. Sure, you're going to get counterattacked, but I think on the whole you end up making a decent amount. Side slip. Really should have... Wait. Yeah, he should have done that in the first place. The side slip... He wouldn't have been able to attack it, but he could have positioned this more aggressively. Because he's on a plane, so... He's really using that 10% to really help out. He's got more infantry here, and because of that, he can just double team and just knock him out. And once he has no infantry, then it doesn't matter what push he makes because he can't capture. Finally uses the opter to take this thing. He doesn't even get the chance to attack this guy. Alright. I mean, you do get the advantage hit there. Really push the infantry units out of here. He still has the tank, though. The tank is what's going to probably threaten, unless... If he uses this tank to push up, then this tank has to come in as a response. If he doesn't threaten this area with the tank, then this tank is free to just harass this whole area. Same with this helicopter. He doesn't really have an answer for it in this area. He'd have to move this guy up. He doesn't have much movement left on that. And then he actually used this to go attack this guy. 1, 2. I would have just written it off, honestly. Like, attack this guy, not really care about the lab guy. Just to get this a little bit more forward to go threaten this battlecopter, because you need an answer for the battlecopter. I don't care if you want to just pick off. Again, you have to kill 8 infantry with this thing for it to be usable, for it to be, like, pay for itself. And if you're not having units pay for themselves, what are you doing? Why did you build that specific unit? So, like, Forrest still was able to knock out that one guy. He's still making use of this, although he's writing that, yeah, he might as well write it off. I think what would have been better is if he pulled this back. Oh, he pulled this unit back, let's say, to either here or in here, because, yeah. So if he, in theory, if he pulled his unit back here, no, there's good counter. Like, he should have pulled it back. And then if this guy went forward, went north and tried to finish him off, hit him with the anti-air. Try to pull him back, protect him with the anti-air. Don't just you don't need to write off your units. Understand, you're letting this guy heal, but you don't want to just throw your units away. They still have value. They have things they can, objectives they can fulfill. He doesn't have a lot, but he's picking off the last of the infantry. He's also making a mech. What is the purpose of this mech? Because Mortimer's not really pushing too hard in this front. He's just kind of surviving. Here's the push from below. This anti-air, it's going to be a couple turns, and then it's probably just going to be able to move around it. And especially, it's heavily dependent on this. I don't know. I mean, this isn't a horrible thing, but at the same time, there are better options. Well, are there better options? I don't know if you're prepared to attack into this, to be honest. That's my issue. Wait, no, I'm sorry. I was thinking this was super Mortimer. Yeah, this is a good attack for Mortimer. If it was super pushing into this, I would disagree. I mean, yeah, you're healing up. This guy's probably gonna go for one of these two, and if anything, I'm probably gonna go. Yeah, it doesn't matter which one I go for. I think I'd probably go for this one just because it's a little bit, because I don't want to get too close to the base. So if I go this way, and it's easier to retreat after that, because this 6 HP guy is not gonna really do much to a full tank if I use it to destroy this guy. Oh, but wait, no, he wouldn't have that. He would have it on the city. It's still not really strong enough to really be that good. Oh, and he makes the tank. That changes things. That does change things. And it looks like Super Patron been timed out. Let's look at the final thing. He's kind of he's not doing well over. Yeah. Well, the mech over here is not going to get any action. This guy is just going to be trying to get out and then trying to follow this guy. He has all these anti-air that aren't going to be able to get their use. So does Mortimer. He has this down here. That's kind of the issue over here, is that having anti-air is just kind of cumbersome for that. I would be curious to know if just Battlecopter and Battlecopter is a solution in this map. Who knows? Well, if you haven't figured it out, one of these people I'm going to be facing next, so yeah, maybe you picked up on the same things I was picking up on, and maybe they'll make something. Maybe I'll make fewer mistakes than they do. Thanks for watching.